Hello friends, welcome to my channel Learn and Study. Today we are going to see the BD first year subject Philosophical Foundation of Education. There are some objectives of this subject. First one is understand the concept of education and philosophy. Second, understand the Indian philosophical thought on education. Understand the implications of various Western schools of thought on education. And the fourth one is understand the implications made by recent thinkers on education. Appreciate the nobility of teaching as a profession. And the last one is understand the need and importance of values and their role in making an individual as human. These are the 6 objectives of the philosophical foundation of education subject. Now today we will see the detailed notes of the first unit. This is the first unit syllabus. Unit 1 is Introduction to Philosophy and Education. There we can see some of the topics, namely concept and scope of philosophy, concept and scope of education, types and functions of education, relationship between philosophy and education, and philosophy and aims of education. These are the topics of Unit 1. Now we will see the introduction of the subject of first unit, Philosophical Foundation of Education. Here the word philos is called love and Sophia is wisdom. Here the word philosophy is a systematic inquiry about the ultimate reality of the universe. Philosophy is the study of general principles and understanding of all that comes in the range of human experience. Some of the researchers said some of the philosophical definitions. Here, philosophy is a search for comprehensive view of nature, an attempt at a universal explanation of the nature of things. Philosophy is an uneasing effort to discover the general truth that lies behind the particular fact, to discern also the reality that lies behind the appearance. According to Henderson, philosophy gives a synoptic view of universe. Here the word synoptic means brief. And the next, philosophy is a mental activity. Philosophy is a groove of life. It gives direction to life, offers a design for living. This definition was said by Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. Next, thus, philosophy is the study of general problems concerning matters such as existence, knowledge, truth, beauty, justice, validity, mind, and language. Philosophy is distinguished from other ways of addressing these questions such as mysticism or mythology, but in critical generally centenary approach, and it reliance and reasoned argument. Nature of philosophy. Philosophy is also known as cultivation of excellent thinking. Philosophy helps us to learn, recognized, for instance, the ethical problems and possibilities in our experience, to think through them carefully, to make sound ethical judgment, and to take appropriate actions. Philosophy can be conceived as an activity of criticism, clarification, and interpretation of life. Gross and detailed knowledge of science. Science seeks the knowledge of facts, but philosophy seeks ultimate knowledge. Philosophy is an attempt to answer the ultimate questions of life. Philosophy is a search for knowledge and wisdom. Philosophy is a way of looking at things, nature and man, its origin and goal. Philosophy is an attempt to think a most general way about everything in the universe, about the whole reality. Philosophy is a way of life. Philosophy is a search for trial for the truth. Philosophy is a living force. Philosophy is a synoptic view of own universe. Scope of philosophy. Here the scope is divided into 3 types. They are metaphysics. It means discussion about the nature of ultimate reality and cosmos, origin and development of universe. And the next one is epistemology, the theory of knowledge, The universe is full of knowledge. We have great number of problems like questions concerning man's life, place and prospects in the universe. Source of knowledge. Here the source of knowledge comes under experience, reason and rationalize. Skepticism means doubt. Agnosticism ignores all knowledge. Experimentalism, intuitive revelation. Axiology is study of values and value judgments. It means study of two kinds of values, means ethics and aesthetics. Ethics means theory of morality, aesthetics means discussion of beauty. And the next one is logic, study of ideal method of thought and reasoning. Philosophical influence even the daily life of every individual. Everybody has a particular philosophy of life. This means pessimistic, optimistic, idealistic, believers in destiny, realistic, aesthetic and materialistic. Now we will see the concept and scope of education. Education means it is in human life which is the best creation of God has got two aspects, namely the biological and sociological or the cultural. While the former is maintained and transmitted by food and reproduction, the later it preserved and transmitted by education. Biological aspect is found in plant and animal life also, but the sociological culture aspect is more distinct of human life alone. What is education? Education is derived from the Latin word educare, to bring up or to nourish. Educer, it means to lead out or to draw out. Synonyms of education. Here, the another word of education means pedagogy. It means paid to draw out. It is the science of instruction for purpose of leading the peoples. In another word, siksha. It is called in Sanskrit as to discipline or to instruct or to teach. In other word, the word education means vidya. So, Vidya is a subject matter of knowledge. This shows that the discipline, the mind, and imparting knowledge were the foremost consideration in India. So, education is complex idea. According to other concepts of in India, education are divided into so many parts. Rigveda. Education is something which makes a man self reliant and selfless. In Upanishads, education is that whose end product is salvation. In Sankaracharya, education is a realization of self. Panini, human education means the training which one gets from nature. According to Kautilya, education means training for the country and love for the nation. According to Vivekananda, education is manifestation of divine perfection and already existing in men. Now we will see another concept was Western concept of education. According to the Plato, education is the capacity to feel pleasure and pain at the right moment. It develops in the body and in the soul of the people all the beauty and all the perfection which he is capable of. According to Spencer, education is completely living. According to John Dewey, education is a process of living through a continuous recognition, reconstruction of experiences. It is a development of all those capacities in the individual which will enable him to control his environment and fulfill his possibilities. According to Pestalozzi, education is a natural, harmonious, and progression development of man's initiate power. According to Forbel, education is an unfoldment of what is already unfolded in the germ. It is the process which the child makes internal and external. According to Redden, education is a deliberate and systematic influence exerted by the mature person upon the immature through instruction, discipline, and harmonious development of physical, intellectual, aesthetic, social, and spiritual power of that human being, according to individual and social needs, and direct toward the union of the educand with his creator as the final end. In other words, education is a triangular process. In general, bipolar process it combines educant and educator. Means the immature with the mature, the learner with the learned, the people with the teacher. The personality of educator modifies the personality of the educant. In this, the teacher is a formal, the people is the opposite pole. Knowledge emanating from the teacher to the people connects the two and the instrument is mutual discussion. According to John Dewey, lays stress rather on the sociological side of process. All education proceeds by the participation of the individual in the social conscious of the race. All education takes place in and through the society. Thus, the three varieties of the triangle of education are the people, the teacher, and the social environment. Here we can see in the diagram form, here the education means teacher, people and social environment. It's called an education. So education involves the interplay of the educator to educate and the social forms. The educator tries to modify the personality of the child in the light of the needs of the society to which the child belongs. But it is possible only when the child is active participant in the education process and activities. In a democratic society, these activities must rise and develop out of the real needs of the community and society. Importance of education. Here, education is as old as the human race. It has been accepted as one of the primary need of every civilized person. According to the Bhagavad Gita, nothing is more purifying on earth than knowledge. According to Plato, man cannot purpose a higher or holier object for his study than education, all that pertains to education. According to Aristotle, education men are as much as superior to uneducated as the living or to the dead. According to Rigveda, source of all illumination. Here we can see why education. Essential function of human development is biological necessity, social necessity, human capacity for learning, the impersonality of the child. The biological necessity in case of animal, no special need for training. They learn instinctively for future life. Example cow, mice, dog. But in case of a human child would die if not properly looked after. Utterly helpless at the birth without proper instruction or training, he will remain speechless. His instincts are indeterminate and there are only few reflexes to help him. It is through education that he becomes acquainted with his powers and the environment. His education cannot be neglected during early years. Otherwise, such habits may be formed which cannot be eradicated in the late life. Again, the instincts of human being are modifiable in lower animal with a finished psychological structure, cannot be educated as their instincts cannot be modified. And the next one is social necessity. Animals have to learn just a few tasks from their parents and they become self sufficient, but in case with human child, besides instructive behavior, human child has to assimilate a vast treasures of aesthetic sense, moral sense, creativity. So education is a social necessity for preservation, protection and promotion of culture. There are strictly parallel between the development of education and advancement of civilization. In fact, the history of civilization is essentially a history of education. Human capacity for learning. Man possesses a unique capacity for learning which is absent in animal. A human child possesses a potential for speech, thinking, reflection, judgmental, scientific curiosity and many other traits which are absent in animals. These need to be developed through the long period training education. In the absence of such training, these capacities will remain dormant, unused and underdeveloped. The impersonality of the child. Experience could have been acquired by the human being even during his adult life, but the early life for the imparting education. Mind is more plastic and impressionable. During the early years, than during adulthood. The younger the child, the easier the habit formation. Thus, for the development of initiate faculty and transmission of culture, education is necessity. Now we will see the types of education in the next class. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel.